Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for taking the time to get on the call tonight to listen to us. Hopefully we can impart some wisdom to all of you. And if you're listening to the recording of this call, we really appreciate your time on a Sunday night or whenever you're listening to this. So just introduce ourselves. My name's Noreen Macdonald. I have been involved in the health industry for over 20 years. I'm a naturopath and currently work in a health clinic as a bioresonance therapist and do lots of other fun things. And this is my husband, Arron.
Hi there, Arron Macdonald. I obviously work FIFO and have done for the last almost 20 years, since I was about 19, and I'm now pushing almost double that. So, and I've basically done the mines, and then also moved on to oil and gas and on the rigs and these sort of things, and also onto other kind of boats, pleasure craft and white boats and this sort of thing. So, but obviously, there's a variety of FIFO out there, from obviously fishing boats and the rest, and just had experience of doing that. And obviously, with my partner and I, we've managed to do it for a long time, and I think we're getting better at it in some respects. And just thought we'd like to share that with you guys and show you sort of what we've learned along the way.
Yeah, I think the combination, Aaron's a pretty dedicated FIFO worker, I must say. And I've always been, to be honest, quite surprised by the way he handles himself when he's away. He's very disciplined, and it obviously works because he has those comments from people that he works with, and I see the way he is when he gets home. So, tonight we're just going to touch on, I guess, a few of the things that work for Arron, and then I'm going to sort of explain from a health perspective why maybe what each part of what he's doing, why it's beneficial. So, yeah, we're going to... Oh, the other thing we wanted to say to you too is that obviously what he's going to talk about, what we're going to talk about tonight, applies to the oil rigs, because that's where he works at the moment, offshore. But we want you to apply these principles, if you want to and if you can, on wherever you are flying in and flying out of, whether it's a fishing boat or it might be hotels that you're sleeping in, it might be a mine site. You can adapt all of these things to suit wherever you're flying out to. So, yeah. So I think the first thing we're going to start off with is mindset, and I'm going to let Arron talk to you about how he gets his mind. He's a man of the thinking, how he makes it work.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the most important thing about this kind of work and this kind of activity you get up to is that it is a bit of a team event, and you really need to have your partner or your family or whoever works for yourself personally really on board with what you're doing and why you're doing it, and that communication has to happen really early as regards to how you approach it as a family, as a unit, because it does affect everyone, and it can be hard, and it can also be quite good, but it can be it takes a decent open communication between yourself and your family or partner at home to get ready for that time away, that travel, and that work, and for me, I mean, a mortgage is a great motivator, obviously, and so that's what pushes me to do what I've done for a long time, and that wanted to get ahead and so forth. But the reality is, a lot of these times, you get to the stage where your choices are limited on what you can and can't do, and your ability to change a situation is very limited. So the best way you can approach all this stuff is the fact that you can't change it, and you need to embrace it. And if you embrace it, then in some way you actually start to enjoy it. And that's what I've found I've done with me, was that when my alarm goes off, I get up straight away and I get into work, because that's what I'm there for. I'm not a person who can press snooze. I'm a person who gets up at different times. I have a set routine, and I work it really, really, really as close as I can to efficient, is the way I look at it. I'm going to kick straight into how I roll. So the first thing I do when my alarm goes off is I get up and I do yoga. When I say yoga, it's just basically stretching for me, but obviously you get a lot more from it if you do it. The reason I've got into this is because I wasn't that strong in my back, and had some issues when I was about a 20-year-old, and it pushed me to it. But then the effects of the yoga on me on a daily basis has been enormous. Not so much just to be able to touch my toes, I still struggle with that, but more to the point is I found I a lot calmer mind. I found that I had the ability to embrace meditation, whereas in previous to that time, there's no way I could have been that way. I do about a 35-minute session every morning when I'm on a facility, on a rig, and I do that straight away in my room. I've obviously shared before with up to 4 people in a room. I used to take my yoga mat and go and find a quiet space. That sometimes will be a bathroom, it sometimes will be a spare room. It's been underneath a heli deck when they're landing helicopters. But the reality is it's time that I start my day, and I start my day at 35 minutes of what is quiet time and is me time. And the benefits of that, like I said before, was basically, I did get strength through my body, and I do wake up in a greater state. Rather than wake up in the shower, I'd wake up in my yoga mat. But also what I found after 6 months of doing this is that I found a lot more clarity in my views and in my mind, and I could put off the thinking of work until I walked through that door and got into it, which is a great, obviously, asset for me with an active mind and an active job. But Noreen can probably give a bit more insight to what yoga's about, because that's more her game.
So yeah, I am a qualified yoga teacher as well, and really the benefits of yoga most people already know, but I'm just going to touch on briefly. It's really the essential part of the yoga routine is the breath. So for Arron, waking up on the oil rig, and he doesn't use the small room as an excuse. We lived in a house bus for 3.5 years, and we both did yoga in the house bus. So you only need as much space as a yoga mat takes up, and it's not that hard to travel with and leave on wherever you're going. It's pretty small. You can get travel yoga mats nowadays. If you're listening to this, you think, I don't know anything about yoga, and guys sometimes can get a bit put off still. Men are getting more into yoga. It doesn't have to be all about singing OMs on the oil rig or on the mine site. It's really about, if you don't know how to do it, there's so many YouTube videos out there, and we're happy to share with you writing down our kind of routine in the morning. So the trick is that deep body breathing. And the reason for that, and moving the body, opening the body, especially if you're going to go into a 12-hour day, which most guys are doing, and ladies, if you're a lady and doing FIFO, 12-hour days on your feet, no matter what you're doing, is quite hard on the body. And usually with FIFO, you're doing it a set number of days or weeks in a row. So it's really good to open that body, open the muscles, open the channels of the body, get the breath flowing. And the really important part is that breathing, that deep full body breathing. And the reason for that is because we've got 2 nervous systems in the body. You've got the sympathetic nervous system, is the flight or fight response. And for a lot of people in FIFO, they're probably functioning in that semi-stress, I'm rushed nervous system. And the other nervous system is your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your relaxation response. And when you start the day with that deep full body breathing, you're setting yourself up for that parasympathetic nervous system. So you're actually getting some relaxation into your body before you start quite an intense day on FIFO. So yeah, that's the yoga part.
Cool. Yes, on that. So for the guys out there, obviously yoga / stretching. As long as you're stretching, that's basically what it comes down to, and then you can build into yoga because you will enjoy it. You'll get benefit out of it. For me, the next thing is food choices. So, but when I go there, my mindset is that I will improve from being there. It's already taking time away from my family and so forth. Therefore, I take the view that I should get something back out of it. So I look at it as a bit of a health camp for me, and I have a pretty rigid, not rigid, but a pretty disciplined food choices out there, and my diet is pretty good. And I'll just touch on a few bits. And I'm not telling you this is what I do as the being a Wendell, but this is how I approach it. Is I try as much as I can to stay off wheat and stay off dairy. Are the 2 big things I won't pretty much eat when I'm there. Have occasional times when I do, but I run 6 days where I run really disciplined, and then on a Sunday I let myself eat what I want to eat. And I do the same with exercise. So I do I stay away from potatoes too for personal reasons. That's just me. I don't like the fact they're really high in glycemic index. I try and get low amount of heavy meats, and so stay on light meats and a lot of salad, a lot of greenery, and a lot of fruit for my snacks. Dried nuts if I can get hold of them, and just staying away from sort of those main things that cause problems to our guts and to our things. And the reason I do this is if I stay clean in my diet, and I find I have a lot better energy and a lot cleaner, and I can continue on what I'm doing. I can probably touch a little bit more on food and that side of things.
Yeah, so I do a lot of allergy testing in my work with a bioresonance machine, and the two most common, pardon me, food allergens that come up is wheat and dairy, sometimes gluten. And we know that the proteins generally in these foods tend to kind of clog the gut, slow the digestive system down, can cause inflammation in the gut, and then cause your immune system to start to decline because you've got 70 to 80% lymphatic tissue in the gut. So staying off those foods for Arron while he's at work is a huge advantage for him. A lot of people feel bloated, feel really lethargic when they eat these foods. It slows their metabolism down. And I think probably that a lot of people doing FIFO, maybe this may be a huge generalisation, but I did ask Arron, I said, what's the biggest food that sells out or, gets eaten a lot on the rig? Because he does work in the catering side of things. And he said, meat. I said, really? After all these years, a guy's still hoeing into the meat? And he said, yeah. So if you can just start to lighten up and make those food choices more healthy. So lots and lots of salads. 60% of your plate, in fact, should be salads, which is that beautiful, fresh rainbow of colours. When we have the rainbow of colours in our plants, we're getting a huge spectrum of natural antioxidants and natural nutrition from these foods. So you can have 60% of that, 30% protein, and like Arron said, we're not saying don't have steak. We're just saying maybe instead of having steak 7 nights a week, maybe chicken or fish, or maybe even some of the vegetarian options. But yeah, wheat and dairy are definitely two of the most common things that people get very sluggish on, and that's probably the last thing you want to do when you're doing FIFO work because you're already, like we said, doing long hours. The other thing to remember as well is that a lot of serotonin is produced in the gut. So the gut is actually now known as your second brain, and when we're flooding the body with stuff that it can't digest and makes it sluggish, not only do we get sluggish physically, but mentally as well. We start to get tired. And really the key is trying to keep that glycemic index level stable during the whole day, because as soon as you go, say mid-morning, you go in and you have, I don't know, what's a common high-carb dessert or morning tea option? What would that be?
Oh, like a bread roll or something, or I don't know, or a
so you have scones and stuff?
Yeah, scones,
So let's say you come in for your mid-morning snack on the rig and you think, oh, I'm starving because I didn't have breakfast. I just had a coffee and a piece of toast, if you're lucky. So you've got nothing in your body, really, no nutrition. Then you grab another coffee and you might have a scone or a biscuit or a cake. So your blood sugar level's just gone whoop, right up, and what goes up must come down. So at some point it's going to crash and you're going to feel like crap. And then you get into this cycle of high carbohydrate eating because your blood sugar levels have become so low, and then it's that cycle of going up and down. So eating the way that Arron sort of explained before and what we've explained tonight is a way to keep that glycemic index level, which is key.
Yeah, that's a good. But what we'll come back to this is I do that 6 days on, 1 day off. So Sunday I give myself a day off, and the reason I do that is two. One, because you need to. Your brain, you will want to eat bad food. So if you give yourself Sunday off and eat bad foods, smash a whole pavlova, do what you want to do. Make the most of it, because what will happen is that after 6 days of eating clean, when you do eat something that's not so clean, you really feel it. And then come Monday morning, you wake up and you want to get back on that train. You want to get back onto that fresh food and clean. And for me, the things like talking about snacks. So for me, my mid-morning snack is usually just fruit. Even though it's got some fructose in it, is actually, I think it's good, nice and light to have. And then have a decent lunch and an afternoon tea. But making sure I am getting sort of those minimum 5 meals a day, up to 6 meals a day, if I can, which is pretty easy in the work I do, obviously. The other thing I do is I start the day with an enormous amount of water consumed before I even start my first hour. I try and get a litre into me before I start work, and then I try and have a minimum of 2 litres throughout the day. Normally on a ship, depending on where we are and what we're doing, but I can get nearly to 2.5, 3 litres a day without too much concern. You can probably touch more on that as well.
So, look, we all know the benefits of water, but especially doing FIFO work, again, long hours, lots of people are really busy and they probably tend to forget to hydrate, which is why it's amazing that you are doing that before you hit the ground running. So you know, perhaps while you're doing the stretching or the yoga, just really getting into that water, getting hydrated. Our bodies are 80% water. And no, coffee and tea don't count. They actually do the complete opposite. So for every cup of coffee or tea that you have, you're minusing off 2 glasses of water, so you're even more in deficit. So I think for most of the people that watch this recording, they're going to be in either New Zealand or probably most of them, Western Australia or offshore Western Australia, and it can be hot. So if you're outside working, you're going to be sweating. You need to put all of that fluid back in, and it'll make your job a whole lot easier. Your body will be able to cope better with the load of FIFO. Yeah.
All right. The next thing that I sort of touch on that I do in my daily routine for the 6 days on, especially, is exercise. And this is obviously varied to what you do in the job you do out there. So, you know, some guys out there do jobs that are extremely physical, and probably for them they just need a cool down or a stretch at the end of the day or something. But for me, presently, I'm not that physical in my work. So I do 6 days again, 6 days in a row, alternating between cardio and weights. But low form, free fall weights, body weight sort of workouts, and interval training. We can touch more on that. And people really want to know what I actually get up to and so forth. If you want to hear about it, no dramas. I can link us through Keep Health Real, and we can go through that, can't we? Because I won't go into exactly what I do as a routine, but basically at least a 30-minute workout every day for 6 days of the week. And then, of course, again, Sunday day, have a day off on Sunday so you can eat what you want and don't have to go to the gym afterwards, watch a movie or do something else. And really that's, for me, it's really paramount, because I find that through that it leads into a good night's sleep. It leads into the fact that I've actually in some ways detoxed a little bit of the day out of me, and mentally I find myself extremely refreshed from it. If I don't do it, I'm not as happy, let's put it that way.
So the exercise side of things, obviously the important part of that is getting your heart rate up. And that sort of interval training or Tabata training or whatever you want to call it, high intensity interval training, is the most efficient way to train. And probably if you're doing FIFO, it will suit you. I mean, for a lot of you who are outside and perhaps got the more physical jobs, perhaps you don't need to do that as such. But if you're doing a desk job, or even if you're standing at a stove in the kitchen, it's still really important to move your body, because it's getting your cardiovascular system working, but most importantly, it's getting your lymphatic system working properly, which is your immune system. And we're going to talk about bugs and viruses and bacteria and stuff on rigs in a little while, but a big part of keeping you healthy is that lymphatic system. So also the other thing with exercise is it increases your release of endorphins, which is your feel-good hormones. Really important when you're doing this sort of work. At the end of the day, FIFO work can be extremely challenging for people mentally. So really good to try and get that feel-good hormone moving through exercise.
Totally. And that leads into the next one, which is actually sleep. Now, obviously on rigs and ships and so forth, it can be quite noisy at times and quite hard to get sort of sleep. So for me, and also you can do night shift, day shift. I did 4.5 years of night shift. And what I found worked for me is that I have a really set routine as to how I go to sleep and how I get up. And I have a certain time when it's that time, no matter what I'm doing, I turn the TV off. And I have a set routine I go through. We had a couple of sleep specialists come through and do stuff about one of the rigs I was on, and talked about having a set routine and running to it. And, everyone runs on different amount of hours they need for sleep. For me, my number's around about the 7.5 mark, and I run well. 8's great. But that's basically where it sits for me, 7.5 hours, and I'm good. I'm refreshed for the day. But as long as I have that exercise first and so forth, and I have a bit of downtime, I find I can hit that sleep time and get to sleep very quickly, and then get a decent amount of rest before I start the next day.
Yeah, so the sleep thing, obviously ultimately important. Again, we're talking about FIFO work sometimes being quite high stress levels because of the long hours, etc. And cortisol, which is a long-term stress hormone, can get quite elevated when you're doing, especially the long swings, like the 4 to 5 to 6 week longer swings. And getting that sleep is paramount to getting your cortisol level back down so that you can actually get through your swing with ease without hitting. What we don't want to happen is I guess why we're sharing this as well, is so many people in this type of work can really hit that adrenal fatigue, that burnout mode where it's just useless. And really, if this is your livelihood, then that's why we're sharing this, is to help you get through this livelihood and to do it in a good way where you will never get burnt out. And sleep is such an important part of that. If you find it hard to get to sleep, I would suggest either downloading something onto your computer or your iPad. There's a really good thing called Yoga Nidra, which is Nidra, which is called Yogi Sleep. And 15 minutes of Yoga Nidra is equivalent to 3 hours of sleep. So even if you can get hold of some of those on your iPad or iPod and just playing that to yourself before you go into sleep can really help the body to rest and relax. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I come back and reiterate again that I do what I do, I do it 6 days on, 1 day off, and that's just stay refreshed. What I find happens in my environment out there on rigs and ships and so forth is, and I dare say, I can't remember mine flights, to be honest, a long time ago, but I dare say it's a similar thing where we get someone comes on a little bit unwell. They've been somewhere else around the world and have brought back a bug or a virus, and it gets on the rig and it stays on the rig for around 3 to 4 months, and it just goes around sort of I want a quite large facility, so 500 people, and it just travels around, goes round and round and round, and I think the reason behind this is basically a confined space and so forth, and it's quite easy to realise why it happens. But the difference is that some people get sick, some people don't. And touch wood, I'm very lucky, I think, but I'm lucky because of my choices. And there's people out there that aren't so lucky, and I think they're unlucky because of their choices, to be blatantly honest about it. And I think there's a lot of that is to do with your diet and your exercise and maintaining your body and so forth, which maintains your immune system, which obviously Noreen knows more than I do about that. So we'll pass on to you, because what I've found is in the last few years, when viruses have gone around and I have got them, I've got a very, very small version of it. A runny nose for half a day sort of thing, and a sore throat for half a day or a day or so. Because other people have been out of work for 2 or 3 days, and some places people have actually gone home with the viruses. So I come back to that because it's basically, I think, also about probably supplementation that we do to try and keep our immune systems going. And I'll let you kick into that probably. Yeah.
So supplementation, I've obviously worked with supplementation for 20 years being a naturopath. And when I first met Arron, which was, I don't know how long, we always forget, maybe 15 years ago, I tried to help him. I was really passionate about trying to give him the right supplements to take away for his FIFO swing, to keep his levels high with long, high amounts of stress, with long hours, with physical work, with having no days off really, whether you're doing, a week on, like I said, 6 weeks longer. You need to top your levels up really to get through, and so you don't reach that adrenal burnout. And so for the last 20 years as a naturopath, or 18 years, I have dispensed lots and lots of supplements. And about 1.5 years ago, a friend of mine shared with me a product called Juice Plus, and explained to me what it was, which is a whole food concentrate. And I'd already made a choice as a naturopath then to only start dispensing supplements that come from food, because of the fact that food is a substance that obviously our bodies completely know how to digest, absorb, utilize. There's an intelligence in plants and in whole foods that our body understands. So I believe personally that we function a whole lot better if we're going to supplement, that we are taking supplements that are made from whole foods. So Juice Plus came to us 1.5 years ago. I shared it obviously with Arron, and I got on it straight away. I put him on the product straight away. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what the product is, and then I'm going to go into some of the other products that I would probably recommend if you're doing FIFO work as well. So I'll just show you these. These are the Juice Plus capsules. There's the red one, which is fruit, the purple one, which is berry, and the green one, which is vegetables. And these beautiful capsules are made from vine-ripened fruits and vegetables, which is the key. It's got the maximum amount of nutrition that you're going to find. It's all pulped together, the cores, the skin, everything together. And then it's dehydrated at 1 degree. So we take out the water and we take out the fructose, and you end up with this beautiful powder, whole food powder, which is put into a vegan capsule for the Australian and New Zealand market. So the way you take the product, Arron takes two and two, two fruit, two veggie, two berry every single morning with a big glass of water. And basically within 7 minutes, there are thousands, literally thousands of phytonutrients, which is plant nutrition, compounds that are circulating in his body. And it really is the best way to start the day. And the thing I do love about Juice Plus is I have also been on it for a year and a half, and I know for me my energy levels are way higher than they ever have been before. I'm 41 and this is the healthiest I've been in my life yet. And so I'm pretty proud to say that because I have a pretty busy job myself. We also have 35 clinical studies done on Juice Plus proving what it does in the human body. But really, look, guys, it just makes sense. Fruits and vegetables, obviously, you know, it's going to improve your immune system. You have better digestion, better cardiovascular health. You have less systemic inflammation. It helps to protect your DNA, all that sort of stuff. But really, what did you notice from going on them?
Well, it's just, I mean, to me, I mean, obviously, you know, I used to have a lot of supplements given to me before I go back to work. You know, guys, I think it's pretty funny. You know, basically rattle when it's time to work. And but then when we changed to this, I was skeptical to begin with, to be honest. But what I did notice was that I just had light energy. I had energy that was particularly just foregoing for the whole day. And I find it just a really good natural. I found my skin cleaned up a bit. I found my sleep actually improved. Quite a varied array of things that happened during that time that I found was great. Was that it was just an easy way to take an enormous amount of fruit and veg without any fuss, any hassle. I've never been the greatest vegetable eater or fruit eater, to be honest. So this was a really good step for me. And then I found once I started taking it, I found I actually had a greater want for more fruit and vegetables, which is quite a unique thing to come across.
So I'm just going to share the screen with you. I just want to get an image of that just so you can see it. I really love that because it sums up exactly what Juice Plus is. So the thing I love about it and why I think it's amazing for FIFO in particular is because no matter how hard companies are going to try and get fresh produce to the workers, there's always a lag time. There's a lag time from fruits and vegetable freshness coming to our supermarkets when we are in big cities. But when you're doing FIFO, out to mines, out to oil rigs, unfortunately we know that that produce has been picked way before it actually gets to the final destination. So that's why I love Juice Plus for FIFO, because people are getting that the nutrition from these fruits, vegetables and berries when they were picked at maximum ripeness. So it's almost like, having it fresh and alive, but in a capsule form. So it's really convenient. It's very convenient to travel with.
Totally.
The other thing we do love about Juice Plus as well is that, like for Arron, he's obviously on the trio, so am I. But we have a worldwide children's health study. So he sponsors Bo, our 6-year-old son, and he has the free soft chews, which are these guys. That's the veggie, poke in the eye. That's the veggie and the fruit. So there's 17 varieties of fruits and veggies in these. They're just in a little soft chewy form. The other thing that might be good for FIFO is even having these on hand. And we haven't actually ever done it for him, but it's a good idea to have it. You can just use them as a wee little snack to top your levels up during the day. And if you're coming down with the bug on a vessel, then what you do with your Juice Plus is you would double it up. You'd have 6 capsules in the morning, 6 capsules at night. Your immune system is just humming, and hopefully you can just rise above any sickness that could potentially be going through a rig or a vessel or a mine site, etc. So that's the micronutrition part of Juice Plus. The other thing we offer is the macronutrition, which is the complete. So this is basically a plant-based superfood sachet. And I was talking to Arron about it today. I was like, well, how could we, potentially do this on FIFO rigs and vessels and mine sites? But the good thing about it is it's really convenient. You just get a shaker. You'd empty out a sachet into your shaker. You'd go to the mess or whatever you call it and throw some water in if you want. Milk, obviously, not great, but if you do drink milk, you could do that. But you can totally mix these with water and just shake it up. The good thing about these, easy, convenient, keeps you regular, keeps your blood sugar levels stable. So it might be an option for people if they wanted an additional as well.
Totally.
So the other supplementation that I'd recommend is some sort of omega-3, 6 or 9 essential fatty acid to take. I think everyone should be on some sort of oil every day. Lots of it comes from the fish oil industry. I actually prefer a plant-based omega. So we use Udos, which is UDO''S at the moment. But we have heard exciting things that Juice Plus is actually coming up with their own omegas, hopefully going to be released sometime this year. So we can't wait to get our hands on those. The third thing that I think is really good for FIFO work is taking a probiotic. You have to find one that you can travel with though, which you can find. Nowadays, I like to take the doTERRA probiotic because it's a sustained release capsule, and it also means he can travel with it because it doesn't have to be kept in the fridge. But whatever you can find, that's fantastic because you're just going to, again, putting all that beneficial bacteria into your gut on a daily basis, which again just means that you have less chance of coming down with those bugs that might be circulating around. Depending on if you're working inside the mine or on the outside of the vessel, whatever, if you're getting sunshine or not. For some of the inside workers, vitamin D3 might be a really good supplement to take as well, just to top your levels up. Really important for calcium absorption and just general health and well-being. Usually with Arron, well, I'll be honest, he's only taken the Juice Plus for 1.5 years. And the first time that we got the Juice Plus, I sent him out with Juice Plus and all the other stuff. He used to take, the B multis and stuff for his adrenals. I had him on everything, magnesium to help him sleep. And then he came home and I was like, how come all of these bottles are full? He said, I just took Juice Plus. And I was like, what? Why did you do that? He said, well, I just wanted to see what it would do in my body. And he came back and he was feeling really good. So that was kind of the proof in the pudding for us. And we kind of gave away with a lot of the other stuff. We've simplified our supplement regime so much and it feels good to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the thing is for Arron, because he's eating and making those conscious choices, he's not loading his gut up with dairy, which is going to clog his lymph. He's already ahead of the game because his immune system's humming. Add in Juice Plus, his immune system's humming even more. Yoga, water, that whole thing that we've talked about tonight really adds up. And we're such big believers in healthy daily habits. I do lots of other talks online as well, which is not just for FIFO workers, but the main thing I say to my clients that I see that are sick is healthy daily habits is the biggest way you can change your health because it's what we do every single day that's going to make the biggest impact on our health rather than what we do once a month or once a year. So I think that's pretty much us, isn't it?
It is us, yeah. Okay. I mean, obviously there's some more information. We can go into greater detail of what we actually do. And if anyone does want to know more about that, just give us some contact through to us.
Yeah, I've got a Facebook page called Keeping Health Real. And you're most welcome to jump on that and flick me a message if you want a printout or if you want an email copy of this sort of program that Arron does. We can even put in there the little yoga, a little yoga routine for you. If you want any more information about the Juice Plus products themselves and pricing, just get in contact with us via the Facebook page, Keeping Health Real. If you want to share this recording with anyone, please go right ahead. We're really into sharing information, just trying to get FIFO workers healthy and happy. So we're going to be doing this semi-regularly on his swings off. So he currently does 5 weeks on, 5 weeks off. And the other thing, actually, that we haven't touched on is we do have a program which is called Shred 10. And it's actually not to do when you're on the rig or the vessel, but more something to look at when you're on your downtime. And it's a great thing to do with your partner or your wife. So it's 10 days of shredding. Now, it's not aimed at weight loss. Weight loss is a side effect of this program. But just to summarize it really quickly, it's 10 days of concerted... Oh, hi guys. Sorry, that just our thing just our internet just cut out and we came back on. So anyway, I'll quickly sum it up. 10 days of whole food eating. We use the complete shakes. We use the capsules. We run these once a month. And so if you want more information about that, I do online talks pretty much every fortnight on a Tuesday about the shred, which you're most welcome to join in on. Everything's on the Keeping Health Real Facebook page. But we just want to say a big thank you from our hearts to yours. We really appreciate you getting on the taking the time to get on the call. And we really hope that you can take some beautiful information away from tonight's call and share it with your loved ones and with anyone else that does FIFO, because we know that it can be quite a hard game to play.
Cool.
Is that it?
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thanks for coming on, everyone. Bye.